Please forgive me for the last couple of days. I've been under the weather, but I'm back and we're talking about something which we don't normally dabble in on this channel. Primarchs. Yes, you heard that right. Now, over the past couple of weeks, I've been having some foil sessions where I personally believe that Shadowkin is going to come back to the 40k setting and potentially take over the leadership of the Raven Guard. From that, we've had spouted conversations about Corax and his disappearance, his mystique. Where is he? Will he come back? With all the returning traitor Primarchs, it's only a matter of time before Lorgar comes back. And if Lorgar comes back, does that mean the return of Corax? Well, in today's video, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about the latest updated lore about Corax and his so-called disappearance, because there's so much mystique, there's so much whispers, there's just so much potential there for the Lord of Shadows to return. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. So let's start with the actual updated lore, what we have on Corax now, because it does go to some of the old lore that we know about, but also add some mystery and some excitement to that. Now, this is taken from this book, the first founding book. I've actually done a video about this before, but I've only dabbled in this a little bit, where I want to go into a full depth about this brand new lore now. This was released about a year and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of updated lore, not only about the disappearance of Primarchs, but about the first founding chapters themselves. So I'm just going to put the text in the background right now as we read from the Disappearance of Corax page. So this states, it's believed that the Primarch of the Raven Guard has not been seen in the Imperium since after the dissolution of the Legions. Legend says that after Corax slaughtered the monsters he created in his failed attempts to rebuild his devastated legion, he was racked with guilt and anguish. It's told he locked himself away in the Era, his quarters in the tallest tower of the Ravenspire, for an entire year, and that when he finally reemerged, the only word he spoke before departing was nevermore. The most commonly held belief is that he left for the Eye of Terror, hoping to find some kind of redemption in self-imposed exile, pursuing the traitors who destroyed his legion and brought nigh the Imperium to ruin. Conversely, there's an all but secret tale kept on record within the Raven Guard Librarius that in fact Corax never left the Ravenspire, let alone Deliverance. It claims that he locked himself away in stasis, awaiting the time when he would be granted the Emperor's forgiveness for failing to contain the treachery that made itself known in the Isvan system. Among the most bizarre tales is that Corax eventually turned to a being of pure shadow, an evolution of his abilities to disguise his presence to all around, even when apparently fully exposed. Corax's fate is ultimately unknown, and so the Raven Guard maintain to this day an ancient vigil for his return. It matters not to them that it has continued for 10,000 years without the slightest hint, let alone a definite sighting. They know their Primarch will only ever allow himself to be seen, and that if he wishes to evade them forever, he is more than capable of doing so. The vigil's purpose is twofold. First, it tells the Primarch, who may well be watching, that the Raven Guard will never forget him or his teachings. Second, it serves as a beacon of hope for the chapter itself, one that goes far beyond or even tradition. It is a fine mark of Corax's teachings that his absence has little disruption on his son's desire and ability to perform their duties as warriors of the Emperor. He had always taught them the value of independent thought and action. The Eyrie, of course, still remains atop of the Ravenspire. Very few have trodden its black halls since Corax is believed to have left Deliverance. At any one time, its pools of individuals who have the authority and courage to disable the stasis fields that preserve their Primarch's private chambers, and who are present on Deliverance to do so, is infinitesimally small. Those who have elected to go there send an unsettling, brooding presence that infuses the entire area and defies explanation. Though they rarely speak of what they experience, these warriors have, on occasion, shared in whispers with their most veteran brothers an idea of what they saw there. Parchments strewn about the chambers, covered with layers of thick scrawl, written in jet black ink. any attempt to order these documents has found the same result. As the reader progresses through the writings, they find the tremendous script becomes not only more ineligible, but the ideas and thoughts being communicated become more disjointed and incomprehensible. Perhaps one day sense will be made of these writings and the true fate of Corax will be discovered. So that is the updated lore that we have around the disappearance of Corax, the primarch of the Raven Guard. And the really cool thing about that is that it's blended with some of the old lore as well. Basically, the old lore was that Corax was so upset, he was so basically disappointed with the monsters that he made trying to reinstate the numbers of his legion. He literally shouted nevermore and disappeared into the Eye of Terror. That is what we had for the old lore. Now with this new lore, we're getting two new stories. One that is basically in stasis, waiting for the Emperor's forgiveness to come back and start blasting again, as I always say. And the second bit of the story, which I lean to more truer, because we know this now from a new novel, is that he became some type of warp shadow, demon shadow, and basically just left and fled and started to do his own thing. Now we know that the warp shadow being monster thing is actually truthful, because we have a story in the anthology book called Sons of the Emperor, and this is the short story Shadow's Past, if I'm not mistaken, by Gav Thorpe, and it is literally about a shadow type demon hunting a bunch of word bearers inside of the warp. The word bearers themselves think it's some type of demon, and they're trying to like banish the demon. They're trying to think how the demon got there because all the seals are up and stuff. They go to Lorgar, and basically Lorgar turns around and says, "That is no demon. That is my brother." And Lorgar and the demon, I should say the warp shadow, whatever you want to call it, version of Corax, basically says, I've been hunting you. I've been hunting your vile spawn. I'm literally here now to take vengeance on Chaos for what you have done to the Imperium, what you did to my Legion, what you did for everything, the Imperial Dream. Him and Corax have a bit of a fight. Lorgar ends up retreating from that battle because the seals are breaking and they're about to be trapped there. And as they're leaving, Corax literally says, "I have your scent now, Lorgar, and you cannot escape me." So where do we go from here? Well, as I've always talked about on this channel with Primarchs coming back, is that Games Workshop love to bring them back because as a business plan, it makes them so much money. Each time they release a Primarch, it sells, it makes headlines, everyone's talking about another Primarch coming back. It's happened with Guilliman, the Lion, Mortarion, Magnus, Fulgrim, every single one they've brought back. But the big thing that we have now is the 4 demonic Primarchs who are aligned to the Chaos Gods. So you have Khorne with Angron, you have Mortarion with Nurgle, you have Magnus with Zinch, and of course Fulgrim with Slaanesh. Those are the big 4 demonic Primarchs. Now what you have on top of that is 2 more demonic Primarchs who are basically just Chaos Undivided, which is Perturabo and Lorgar. And I think this opens up a massive door now to bring either of these Primarchs back. I think both will come back, but it's more or less a choice of what they want to bring back and when. Now, there's been massive hints already that Vashdor has been working with Perturabo with all the demon engines and stuff, so potentially there's a narrative to bring him back to the setting. But also with the Great Rift and Chaos spewing out into the galaxy, we know that Lorgar has basically ended his 10,000 year meditation, and he's more or less on the move again. This is the perfect time for Lorgar to strike, and if Lorgar comes out of the Eye of Terror and all the Great Rift and comes back into real space, definitely then Corax is going to follow. Like I said, Corax has his scent now. He wants to bring Lorgar down for all the betrayal, all the destruction, all the devastation that he's brought on the Imperium and of course his sons. Now I don't expect another Demon Primarch coming anytime soon. 11th edition, I keep saying, is on the horizon. We should be getting that by 2026 summertime, and maybe that's going to launch with a new demonic Primarch. Maybe there's going to be more hints. Maybe the end narrative of 10th edition is going to be talking about more Vashdor stuff, more Perturabo stuff, more Lorgar stuff. Maybe another loyalist Primarch, Leman Russ, Vulcan, Jagatai Khan, Rogul Dawn, right? There's so many ones to talk about. There's so many roads and narratives they can go down to bring these characters back. But the whole essence of this video is that Games Workshop has been building on the old lore now and just teasing us, a slight tease of little hints here and there of possible ways to bring certain big characters back to the 40k setting. Again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, one of the big ones I'm talking about at the moment is Shadowkin. That would be, personally, a massive thing, I think, for the Raven Guard if he was to come back and then potentially lead the chapter. An iconic hero figure from 30k. That is something that's never really happened before in a chapter. Yes, you've had Beyonds and stuff like that, but that's completely different because they're all in their dreadnought armor and stuff, and they're always sleeping and stuff like that. But to have a physical hero from 30k lead you a Space Marine, not a Primarch, massive, huge potential stories and stuff like that on the horizon. There's so much to really talk about. It gets me hyped. It gets me, fan-fearing and stuff. That's what I love to talk about. I love to sort of lose myself and think what potential they can bring to the 40k story. But again, this is Games Workshop, and lately, not to get too negative, the stories, the narratives, they've been kind of, how do I say this in a nice way? They've been a bit weak, in my opinion, and hopefully they start to improve on that and build on that. And just go back to the times like 8th edition, when it was just brilliant. I personally think there were so many stories, so many narratives. Like the codexes were just new and they felt fresh because they were packed with so much new lore and stuff. But now, as I've said before, countless streams, like the codexes that we keep getting, especially in 10th edition, are just copy and paste. Even the new codexes, the Emperor's Children new codex, there's hardly anything new that's in there. It's just talking about what Fulgrim is and what Lucius is and what the Emperor's Children are. Where's all the narratives? Where's all like the cool Slaneshi warbands that exist out there, so you can start making something that is not based just on the Emperor's Children colour schemes? You know what I mean? Like, this is what we should be aiming for. These cool, awesome narratives that inspire people to paint, build, and play Warhammer 40,000. Anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Sorry, I got into a little bit of a rant there at the end. Maybe I'll cover that in a full video because I am kind of upset with the current way the codexes have been presented in this edition. But yes, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that, post it down below and we'll have a nice little chin wag down there as we always do. See ya. Have a great day and bye-bye.